Welcome everyone to the first episode in our Let's Play series of Force of Nature. So what we're seeing here is the very beginning of the game where we're spawning into our brand new world. All the worlds are randomly generated. So here we are. We spawn in on the beach and already you can see a few gameplay elements. Anything that we can interact with, such as picking it up in this case, will be highlighted on the screen, so we can simply click on those things and pick them up. And you can see here our quest system. It's an interesting stone. I think it'll be useful, so let's go ahead and pick that up. So we simply click on it and it adds it to our inventory. And I'll go ahead and mention, if you haven't had an opportunity, please go ahead and watch the introductory and gameplay basics video that I uploaded previously. That'll give you an idea of what the game is about, as well as some things that you can expect to see in our Let's Play series as we get started. All right, also I noticed that there's a coconut over here that we're going to go and pick up, but our next quest is now active. It says look around. There's a lot of useful things that we can pick up. So we need a couple of palm leaves and some splinters. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of all these menus. We'll get into these more as we go on through the game, but for now I'm going to pick up some of these things, and plus I covered these in the gameplay basics video. But so we've got some splinters, several sticks, and we've got some wheat here, which when I click on that will give me not only wheat but wheat seeds, okay, which will be very useful once we get a little bit later into the game and we're at a point where we're ready to start growing our own food. Okay, we're going to pick up some more of this wheat, get the seeds, another splinter, and let's see what else they've got for us on the beach. There we go. Too far away to pick that one up, so we'll go ahead and get a little bit closer. Some more sticks. We will not be able to get enough sticks and palm leaves. I can tell you that right off the bat. You will be using these quite extensively. Now, for now, you can see here, I'm not going to be able to get through here. I'm going to have to hack my way through, and right now I don't have the tools to do that, so we're stuck going through the predetermined areas, because even areas like this, where normally in real life you'd be able to simply move those palm leaves aside, we can't do that currently. All right, now we have a couple of options here. We, of course, started out by picking up what we saw along the beach. But also, if we, for instance, this is a banana tree. If I come up to the tree and right click, you can see as I kick it, some things fall out. I get a couple of bananas and a palm leaf. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press tab, which is the button that I am using, and I've mapped to pick up everything that is currently on the ground around me. Let's see, there's a banana, there's another palm leaf, and this is the method that we use for getting stuff from the trees very early on. Also, the same thing works here as well in these bushes. We kick on this, there's one, and now two, and again, we're going to need plenty of these. There we go, so that's 3 of them. Let's come back into our first steps quest, and we've gotten these. So that one's now marked done, and now it wants us to craft a rope. And what we're going to need for a rope is we're going to need to come into our crafting menu. Now, if we press C or B or any of these predetermined buttons, if we come into our settings, and again, this was all covered in our introductory and gameplay basics video, but we can see the basics here of WASD to move around. Then we've got some keyboard shortcuts to get to the build menu, the crafting menu, inventory, map, quest, and so on. And then here you can see where I've mapped the left shift button to take everything that is on the ground around me that I can pick up. And then also we'll be using the space bar quite a bit to interact with the world. Okay, so you can see here I have nothing on the screen, no cursor or anything, and the mouse button is what determines how the camera shifts and moves around, and then of course the WASD for the movement. If I press the space bar, that brings up the cursor and also brings up the icons above the items that I can interact with. All right, so if we come back in, it wanted us to make a rope. So we'll need our crafting menu for that. So now we've got our map and then our crafting menu next to that. Let's take a quick look at our map, and you can see not very much is visible, only the part that we've actually explored, which is very little at this point. But already we can see a few icons here. Your yellowish icon here, that area represents the sunflowers that we'll see over to our left. So if I head over this way, yeah, you can just see them toward the top left-hand corner of the screen. And then you can also see some enemies that are over here that thankfully can't get to us just yet because we don't have any weapons to defend ourselves. Also, you can see this grayish area. That represents our mining area, which are the rocks that you now see at the top of the screen. Okay, we see there's a couple of coconuts and some strawberry here. We get some seeds and then a few strawberries. Now, that brings into mind as we pick up a few more items. There's another splinter. We're a little too far away there. Okay, there we go. And we'll move over and pick up these coconuts as well. Another splinter. And then over in this area, you can see we've come upon some wheat. We'll click on that or use the tab key. So we'll use the tab key there to pick up that stick, and then here's what. So you can see various things that we're going to find on the ground around us. Now, there's another option available. Instead of pressing the space bar and then clicking on each of these, what I can do is simply come over next to them. I'm going to press the C button just to bring up these menus. I could have pressed I for inventory and so on. But you notice in the inventory screen here, we can compact the items in our inventory, which we don't really need to do right now. We can take everything that is around us. That's what we're using Shift for. Or I can harvest everything that's around. Let's go ahead and click that. And you can see that doing so has the same effect of clicking on it. Now we pick everything up. Let's move over a little bit, do the same thing, and so on. So you can use this if you like to travel through the world and harvest and pick up a lot of items very quickly. But for the most part, I'm going to stick with this main screen. And one of the things that you notice by now is that you have a dynamic day and night cycle. So it's already turned night on us. And while we have lower visibility, let's take this moment to bring up the inventory screen by pressing I. And we've got a hot bar down here, or fast access bar as they call it. In this bar, we can drag various items. Now, we'll use this as we move forward in the game for various tools and weapons. But another thing that we can use this for is to regenerate our health and stamina, which you notice we have bars for in the bottom left. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drag strawberries over here because they regenerate a certain amount of health over a period of time. And then same thing for bananas, although they will increase our stamina. Let's see what else we've got. Health, and then this decreases health, so we don't want to do that. We've got a little bit of wheat here that we'll use later on. And we've got coconuts here. And then also our mushrooms. Okay, so that gives us a few things to deal with here. Let's go ahead and get rid of those menus, move over into this area, and we're going to pick up these palm leaves. And here's some more sticks. Okay, then we come up to trees, and right now we don't have any tools to do anything with them. We also don't have any tools right now for the rocks. So if we come back into our quest, if we remember, it wanted us to make some ropes. That is done with the crafting menu and our palm leaves. So if we come into the crafting menu and then click on recipes, right now we only have 2 available to us. We'll click on the rope, and you can see right now we got 8 leaves. We only need 2 for each rope. So we got enough to make 4, and we're going to need several of these. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. Then we'll select which tool we want to use, and the tool will affect the crafting speed. And because we don't have any tools really right now to deal with, it's going to take us 4 seconds to craft each rope. And we're going to adjust the quantity and go ahead and get those crafting. Now, the next thing you probably noticed in here is the stone knife. Okay, that'll be our first very crude tool. We'll need rope and then also the splinters, which we picked up several of. We'll go ahead and exit out of that. And now our first crafting is done. Our 4 ropes are done. We'll click take all. That moves them over to our inventory. And now we'll come back into our crafting menu, recipes, and then our stone knife. Now we have plenty of rope and plenty of splinters. We're going to craft one of these. And you can see it'll take just a few seconds here. Then this will be added to our inventory as well. And that will enable us, as we move forward, to craft some different items. Okay, also you can see we've got a build menu and our player characteristics. If we click on the player, right now we're currently the basic level. We're level 1. And we don't have really any damage that we can do because we don't have any weapons or anything in our hand at the current time. So our main damage is 4. We have no armor right now. As we level up, this will increase. And then our comfortable temperature, which is determined by the fact that right now we have no additional clothing or armor on to shield us from the elements and damage. We can operate basically in a comfortable range between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius. And the area that we're on the map right now is 25 degrees, so right in the sweet spot for us. Also, we've got our movement speed of 3 meters per second, which, as far as I know, there is no running mechanic. You always move at the same speed with relationship to the amount of stamina you have, meaning that when we're full of stamina, we can run or move at this 3 meters per second. But if we're very low or completely out of stamina, we'll move much slower. So keep that in mind as we go forward. All right, let's come back into our quest screen. So we're done crafting our stone knife. We crafted ropes. So now we need to make a bonfire. Okay, and it's telling us here that instead of being in the crafting menu, it is under the build menu. Okay, so that's right next to the crafting menu. We'll click on build, and you can see we've got multiple options here. The basic build, move, repair, and destroy. Not everything in the game can be moved once it's placed, and this will be evidence. We'll see this with the bonfire itself. Houses cannot be moved, things like that, various crafting areas. But things like fencing and gates can be moved. So we're going under the build menu, and you can see a lot of things that are not opened up to us yet. The RPG elements of the game where we level up and open up additional crafting. So we'll click on the bonfire, and we can see that we need 5 sticks. We have 8 of those right now, so we're good there as it starts to rain on us. And then we need either 1 glowing ember, which are actually crafted in the bonfire, so we don't have that yet, or any gem. And if you remember at the very beginning of the game, we picked up a gem. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and collect this, and you can see there's a grid on the ground that tells us where we can build. Now, as I move around, the grid's going to move around too, so it's not a certain spot that you can build in, and the areas are pretty self-explanatory as to why you would not be able to build there, because there's either there's a rock formation, a plant, tree, etc. there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start building, and I am going to place this right over here, and it's going to take it a little while to build, and I'll press spacebar, and you can see the progress there. All right, and while we're at it, I'm going to walk over and pick this up. Now we've got our bonfire going. Okay, that completes that quest. So we'll back out here, and then it says we need to get a new level. So it's time for us to level up. We've completed everything that we need to do for level 2 as far as the quest. So now we'll need to get level 2, and the way we're going to do that is come into the characteristics window, and you can see everything here. We'll click on next level, and then what do we need in order to complete this? Well, we've done all of the quests that it's asked us for, but the components we need 2 splinters and 1 rope. Well, we've got those already, so we'll go ahead and click on get new level, and now we are level 2. And what that means, of course, is now we're going to have more items that we can build and or craft. Also, you notice that our armor has gone up 2.2 from 0, and you'll find that that is standard as we continue to level up. The next will be 4.4, and so on. No change to our temperature range here, no change to our run speed, but you can notice 0.02 has been added to both our health generation and stamina regeneration. Okay, so we're good there. Now, what do we need the bonfire for? Well, this is a crafting area. Okay, so we click on the bonfire, and now we come in under recipes. You can see that already we've got a couple of basic recipes open to us. If we happen to defeat any animals, slaughter any animals, then we can put the raw meat in here and get the fried meat. Or we can create glowing embers. Now, we're going to want to do several of these, and these are simply sticks. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and click on Q again and come back to our to-do list. And you can see now we've got 3 things we need to do. First is to create glowing embers. Well, we already know how to do that. We need to craft a digging stick. And then we're going to need to craft some additional tools that will start to enable us to do a little bit of mining, chopping trees, and that kind of thing. So we'll start with the glowing ember. And let's see, how many did it want us to create? 9. Okay, so we'll come back over to the bonfire, click on recipes, glowing ember, and you can see we get 3 glowing embers from each stick. Okay, we have 3 sticks, so just enough to complete this task by creating 9 of them, and now it will get started doing that. Okay, the next thing we're going to need, it said a digging stick, so we'll come in under the crafting menu, look at our recipes, and see that now we have a digging stick as well as the other items that we're going to need, which is a stone axe and a stone pick. So very primitive tools that we're going to get started with. We can see our digging stick. We need 1 regular stick. Okay, no problem at all. So we'll move around. Now we can get sticks. We've already seen that we can pick them up off the ground. Another option that we have is we can actually kick one of the trees that has the sticks in them. Now, the way you can tell those is that looking at the top of the trees, that is a banana tree, and then we've got coconut trees and so on. So I'm going to move around and I'm going to look for a tree that is not one of those. Here we go. Here is what looks to be a regular tree. And we're going to kick it a few times. And you can see a little bit of fruit has fallen there. All right, let's see if we got anything. It's hard to see very well here, but we notice we got an apple that came from the apple tree. And okay, so it looks like that's all that tree is going to give us. But now we move next door here. And here is a different type of tree. And we're hoping, of course, it's going to give us a stick. If a few kicks doesn't do it, then we'll simply move on. Okay, I didn't see anything that it dropped. So we'll just sort of look around on the ground here and see what we can find. Okay, here's some strawberries. We'll go ahead and get those while we're here. So I'll click on those and then shift to get that. Okay, so we picked all those up. And because the maps are randomly generated, I'm not sure where we're going to find one of those trees, but I have no doubt that we'll find one pretty nearby. And it's great that we've got this stone nearby as well, because that's going to become very helpful very soon. All right, there's a stick right there. All right, I'm a little bit worried about going too far that direction, because if we look on the map, I remember seeing a few enemies over in that general direction. So I don't want to wander over there, at least until we have something to defend ourselves. Let's take a quick look. Okay, the bonfire is still working. Remember, we were making 9 of these, so it's taking it a little while to do that. If we come back into we're going to press C to get to our crafting menu. Now for our digging stick, you see now we've got our 1 stick and required tool. Well, we've got either of these, so we're good there. Going to take 15 seconds to craft with this tool, or if we just use the basic rock, then it's going to take 30 seconds. So we'll use our tool, cut a little bit of time off of the crafting, and now it looks like our bonfire is done with our embers. We'll take those. And under our crafting menu, you can see that now we're done with our digging stick. Okay, well, let's go back into Q and see that now we've completed 2. Now we've got a new one here. Okay, and our additional tools, we're going to craft a stone axe and a stone pick, which we're then going to use to obtain logs and stone. Okay, so let's go back to our to-do list and see what else we've got. We also need to do some mining or digging of sand, clay, and soil. And then as we scroll down a little bit, it shows you what each of these look like. Okay, but first we need to equip our digging stick. For now, we're going to put it in slot number 1 and then press 1 to get it. And you can see here, we have some clay right in front of us. So I'm going to go ahead and just hold down the left mouse button. You can see there's 1 and 2 clay. I believe we needed 5 of each, so we'll start out with 5 there. Okay, press shift to pick all of those up. And now we're going to work our way out to the sand, and we'll do the same thing here. So again, we're very early on in the game, so it's teaching us the basics. This is sort of our tutorial section of the game where we learn the basic elements and resources that we're going to need for crafting as we move throughout the game. I'm going to get a little bit more, might as well while I'm here, because we're going to need some more of this later on. Okay, that gives us a little bit. Now if we come back into this, you can see, okay, we've got the sand, we've got the clay. Now we just need a little soil. So we're looking for basically what looks like dirt. And so now let's move around and see what we can find there. And I see a little section of it right over here. So we make our way over and do the same thing. All right, so there's 4. We need 1 more for now. And there you have it. So now we have all of that. We've completed that quest. Now let's take a quick look. You can see all of the quests that we've completed so far. And let's see what we need to make: a stone axe and a stone pick. Okay, let's come back under our crafting menu and see what the recipes are for those. The stone axe, we need a stick, rope, and splinters. Of course, now we were seeing the value of creating those ropes earlier. So we've got 2 of the 3. Now we just need another stick. And let's sort of roam around a little bit here and see if we can find one of those. In fact, all right, do we have the ability? Nope, it will no longer let us kick. Let's see, surely we can find a stick around here somewhere. So I'll go ahead and pause and I'll be back momentarily. Oh, never mind. We don't need to pause. There's a stick right here. Now, if you're wondering why I am choosing to make the axe first, it's because once I get the axe, then I'll have the ability to get all the sticks I need because I'll be able to chop down trees. So let's come back into our crafting menu, stone axe. Now we have everything we need, as well as the required tool, which we've made a basic knife. Let's go ahead and select this. We only need 1. And so we'll let that go ahead and craft. And while that's doing so, I'm going to head over to this tree. And I'm also going to move this item, our digging stick, over to slot number 3 for now, because I want our axe to be in number 1. Okay, so now we've got our axe. Stone axe is ready. We'll take care of that. And I'm going to press 1 to move over to that. And now I'm going to hold down left mouse button. And I believe it'll take 5 or 6 whacks at this tree to knock it down. There we go. So we can see we get some coconuts and looks like a palm leaf and a log. Okay, and I can do the same thing if I come over to this bush, give it a few whacks, and now we've got some more palm leaves there. So your method of obtaining some of these items are greatly increased. I'll also mention that, of course, the different types of bushes or trees that you're hitting will also determine what kind of items you're going to get. So if I come over to this type of bush, give it a few whacks, I get some palm leaves. Different types of these bushes will give me sticks and so on. All right, so now let's come back into our crafting menu and see if we have, okay, we need a stick. Do this. Otherwise, we have the rope and the splinter. Okay, let's see if we can find a tree that's going to, or a bush that's going to give us some sticks. All right, one of the only negatives that I've really come across so far in the game is I'm not a big fan of the camera. Not necessarily that it's top down, but there's no way to zoom in or out. So that gets a little bit dicey because it really limits your view. Let's go ahead and take these bushes out and see what we get. And sure enough, there we go. There's some sticks. And while we're over here, we might as well take this one out. There we go. And 3 more sticks. Okay, press C to get back to our crafting menu. We need our stone pick, and now we have plenty of sticks for it. Go ahead and get started crafting that. And now I'm going to move my way back over toward the area where we had started building. Okay, we'll let that finish up crafting, and then we'll see what it's got in store for us next. Okay, we'll press take all. And now we've got our stone pick, which I'm going to move into slot number 2 for now, because we'll select 2, and it's time to obtain some rock. And also from these, you'll be able to get various ores such as iron and tin. I believe copper is also available in the game. So you got some different items that you'll be crafting with. Okay, so now you can see we've run low on stamina. If I take a look, we've got bananas help us out with stamina. So let's go ahead and use those. We could also use coconuts, it looks like. So I'm going to press 6. And that's going to give us a little bit of stamina back. In the meantime, I've now picked up that, and I'm going to actually eat a couple of bananas here. And let's come back into our quest menu and see what we need. If you remember, we've crafted these, but we also need 5 more logs, and we need 4 more stone. But we got a bunch of items that came out of that rock when we hit it. Well, we had 1 stone, but then also we had 4 iron ores. So we had 5 items that came out. But most of those, as we eat another banana to go ahead and try to offset some of the stamina we're losing from mining this rock. All right, so now we got 4 items and 5 items. We'll press shift to pick all of those up, and then we'll come back in to our inventory by pressing I. And let's see, now we have our 5 stone, and now we have 5 iron ore as well. That will be very handy coming up. But I'm going to shift back over to our axe, and I'm going to chop down some more trees because now we need to get more logs. And again, 5 or 6 hits on the tree, and we get our logs as well as either bananas or coconuts, depending on the type of tree that we're cutting down here on the beach. There we go. It's not really helping us out by giving us as many logs as I was hoping per tree, but you can see it's let us know that we've completed our task. So now we're ready for a new level. It says get level 3. Well, we remember from before how we do that. We come back into characteristics, and we see that we're level 2 right now. What do we need for the next level? Well, we need 3 logs, 1 stone, and 5 glowing embers, all things that we have. So we're going to click on get level, and oh, it says we need more resources. Oh, okay, I didn't scroll down far enough. We need 2 more sand. Okay, well, that's not a problem. We're going to switch to number 3 in our hotbar, and we're going to head back over toward the sand and use our digging stick to get a little bit more sand, and we should be good to go. All right, let's pick those up. Now we're going to come back into our menu, characteristics, next level, and we see that we now have everything we need. So we're going to click on get level. It uses up the items that it requested. And now it's going to level us up, and just momentarily we're going to be level 3. we can now see the main damage is only 1. Again, that's based off of what item we're currently holding in our hands. Our armor, sure enough, has doubled. It is now 4.4 from 2.2. Nothing has changed for the temperature range that we have. Nothing's changed for our running speed, but we've added 0.02 to our health and now stamina regeneration. Thank you very much for joining me. We're going to leave the first video here, so you've gotten an idea of some of the basics. As we get started next time, we'll get into much more crafting, and we'll start building some things like basic housing, and maybe even get into domesticating an animal or two. Thank you very much for joining me in our Let's Play series, and stay tuned for more Force of Nature.